Praying the Stations of the Cross is a tradition commonly practiced during the Lenten season. This year, the stations at St. Michael's Cathedral are markedly different from what parishioners have known over the years. Steve Kiltonick tells us more.
On Ash Wednesday at St. Michael's Cathedral, Bishop William Byrne applied ashes to the foreheads of parishioners, signifying the beginning of the Lenten season. Those who attended the Mass may have noticed something a little bit different about the interior of the cathedral. On the main walls surrounding the church were an entire set of 14 newly installed Stations of the Cross. Parishioners may not have initially noticed the stations because they blended in so well with the church's interior and almost look like they've always been there. The cathedral's original Stations of the Cross, with their simplistic design, were installed sometime in the 1980s when some major interior renovations took place. Father Gary Daly, the rector of St. Michael's Cathedral, explained where the stations originated.
The history of it is that the stations originally came from a church, closed church in the Archdiocese of Boston. They were bought by a company and they ended up to be in the Midwest somewhere, and that company no longer exists. Father John Lessard, when he was pastor of Our Lady of Guadalupe and Holyoke, decided that he wanted to have those statues for Guadalupe, but of course Guadalupe was on the, at that point, thought about being closed, and so they were just never taken out of the crate, and they remained there.
Father Lessard purchased the stations about 20 years ago, but they were never used and remained in crates. Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, formerly Sacred Heart, closed in 2017 due to structural issues. During a visit to the closed church several years ago, Bishop Byrne decided to open one of the crates.
When Bishop went to see the various things that were at Our Lady of Guadalupe, Bishop saw these stations and he said, wow, he said those would fit nicely into the cathedral. They're too nice to just sell or to give away.
Bishop Byrne then had the stations transported in their crates to St. Michael's.
They were placed in the undercroft of the cathedral here and sat for a number of years. And I decided, well, it's time to put them up because they're just beautiful, and I think that they fit the cathedral so beautifully, and it looks like they've been here really all the time.
In March, the old stations were removed and the new ones resurrected from the deep recesses of the basement adjacent to the St. Augustine Chapel and crypt. The stations were then carefully installed by One Call Maintenance of Springfield just in time for Lent. Because they were substantially heavier than the originals, these stations had to be doubly secured and anchored to the walls because there were no beams to drill into. On Ash Wednesday, the entire set of stations were unveiled to the community for the first time. After Mass, Bishop Byrne officially blessed the stations. Reaction thus far to the detailed lifelike stations has been very positive.
Many people remark, those who are parishioners here at the cathedral and those who come to the cathedral now and said, wow, these stations look like they were always here. You know, it looks like they belong here. And that's one of the greatest compliments you can receive, you know, when something just kind of just blends right in naturally.
The new stations have already been incorporated into the fabric of the parish.
They parted my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots.
During Lent, Father Daly has been traditionally praying the Stations of the Cross with the community each Friday afternoon.
All this bitter anguish bearing, now at length the sword has passed.
Second station, Jesus carries his cross. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you. We pray it after the 12:10 Mass, and then our Latino community gather at 6:30 p.m. on Friday evenings and pray the stations in Spanish.
St. Michael's parishioners and visitors will now be able to enjoy these magnificent works of art that grace the walls of the cathedral for many years to come.
Be thy cross my victory.
For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
Stations really do look like they were tailor-made for the cathedral all along. So beautiful.